We've now looked at the World Cup group stage, and before the World Cup even started, I made a video on the preview and where I thought each team was going to rank. So now it is only right that I do an overlook of what happened in the round of 16. And there were a lot of surprises. Off the bat, just the teams that were able to make it out the group. And with my predictions and everyone else's predictions, how different they were. I'm pretty sure that no one had Australia making out the group. No one had Japan making out the group. And then you have teams like Morocco who perhaps could and made it out. Switzerland as well. But it was a very, very good group stage in my opinion. It's very competitive. We had a lot of surprises, and that's what you want from a World Cup. If the teams that were expected to do what they were meant to do did exactly that, then there wouldn't be a point for us to watch the World Cup and for us to be entertained. But that's exactly what happened. And we're going to start with the Netherlands against the USA game. And this was the game where, after this game is when I began to buy in more and more into what Netherlands are trying to do in this World Cup. Out of every manager that's managed a side in this World Cup, I think Louis van Gaal has been one of the best. The way he's been able to set up this Netherlands team, a team who I thought at the beginning of the World Cup were going to struggle offensively. And, it's the USA, and you can think as to how well or how strong this team really is. But the Netherlands got the job done. And before the World Cup even started, I said they have a good defense. They have a good midfield as well. Offensively is where they were going to struggle, but they haven't struggled offensively. They've gotten the job done. And again, on the other side, you could argue that they haven't played teams that are strong. They've played some of the weakest teams in the group stage. They played Qatar, who were the worst team in the whole thing, and the USA, who aren't also that strong. But nonetheless, the Netherlands got the job done. They have one of the best defensive records in the whole thing, and going forward, they don't look as bad as that's why, for my preview for the quarterfinals against Argentina, we'll get into it, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as one would have thought coming into the World Cup. Then you have the Argentina against Australia game. Australia, for them to even make it out of the group, again, it was already surprising, but it wasn't enough to get past Argentina and how well Lionel Messi has been playing this tournament. Argentina got the job done. They advanced, but one thing I'll say about them is how poor they look offensively. And by poor, I mean how, if you take Messi out of this Argentina side, I don't think anyone has them beating the Netherlands, and they would have perhaps gone into extra time against Australia. I think Messi is right now the separator for Argentina, and the reason why a lot of people still hold Argentina in such a high regard. He needs more help. Messi definitely needs more help. I'm glad that Julian Alvarez has come through for the team, but established players like Lautaro Martinez and other players within the team have not stepped up and helped Messi the way that he needs to be helped for Argentina to get to where they want to be, which in this case is the World Cup. They want to win the whole thing. However, some of these other guys haven't played like that's what they want, if you know what I mean. They've not played up to that standard, to the standard that Messi has set to push this team forwards. But once again, I'm not going to criticize a team that got the job done, that won the game. I didn't really like the manner to which they won the game. I think Australia is one of the weakest teams. No, Australia is the weakest. You can argue South Korea as well, but Australia is one of the weakest teams in this round of 16, and Argentina really struggled against them. Not to discredit Australia and how well they set up against this Argentina side, but they are one of the weakest sides of the round of 16, and Argentina struggled against them. And I don't think that's a very good sign for a team that has title or World Cup aspirations at all. Then you move on to the Japan against Croatia game, a game where Croatia did struggle a bit because Japan once again set up perfectly. This Japan side, the future of this Japan side is looking very bright. It looks like their youth development has worked very, very well to put them in this position where they are now, being one of the best teams, one of the best teams in the world, which is of course something you always want. They did get Croatia into extra time and into penalties, where Japan eventually fell to Croatia. And just leaving Japan aside and just talking about Croatia, this is a team who I think have one of the best midfields in the whole tournament, if not the best, with Brozovic, Modric and Kovacic. They are very good, but Croatia's defense very shaky, and their attack not as clinical as they should be. And I think that's why in the next round against Brazil, but we'll get into that in a second, I think that's where they're going to struggle. And then you have Brazil against South Korea, and Brazil getting the job done. I didn't like the fact that Brazil suffered the goal, but that's again just nitpicking. It came down to the lack of concentration. But again, like I said, for Argentina and perhaps even more for Brazil because of the manner that they got the job done, I am not going to criticize a team that got the job done and won the game by 4 goals to 1. That's just me nitpicking at the end of the day. They should have done better, but they still won by a 3-goal margin. What Brazil got well in this game, what they done well, namely, was their offensive dynamics, namely Rafinha, Neymar, Vini, Richarlison, and even Paqueta, if you want to add him to that mix as well. They were excellent going forward, and again, it was against a weak South Korea side, who thought that they were going to be able to do what they did to Portugal, where they were able to go 50-50. We played a team who thought that they were going to be able to go 50-50 against this Brazil side, and it obviously didn't work, and Brazil just mopped the floor with them. Not to be disrespectful to South Korea, but that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what Brazil done, and they moved forward. And I think that Brazil are looking stronger and stronger, although I still have some gripes about their midfield and how they're going to set up against this Croatia team. But we'll get into the quarterfinals against Croatia in a second. Let's look at the other bracket first. The first game of that bracket, of the second bracket, was England against Senegal. And England getting the job done, showing up in major fashion. Again, it was against Senegal side who haven't been the best so far this World Cup. But yeah, again, that's nothing to do with England. They went there, they got the job done. Bellingham showed out, Henderson showed out, and you begin to see how Southgate is beginning to set, with England getting the result that they needed to go to the quarterfinals, and which they'll face France, and we'll get into the England against France game in a second. Then you have France against Poland, and a really similar thing that I said about England, just an emphasis on how good Kylian Mbappe has been so far this tournament. What is it now? 4-5 goals so far in this tournament in 4 games. Mbappe has been unreal, and by the end of the World Cup, he may be the Golden Ball winner, the Golden Boot winner, the way this guy's playing, especially if he's able to help France to get to the final. But we'll see, and we'll get into their preview in the quarterfinal against England in a second. Then you have Morocco against Spain, which was a game that not many people expected Morocco to win. I didn't expect Morocco to win. I thought that this was going to be one of the easiest games for a team in this round of 16. I know Morocco have been playing well, and I should have given this team a lot more respect as they showed in this round. But one could also argue that this loss came mostly down to Luis Enrique's team selections and how he set up this team. He wasn't the best way to set up this team. He left out a lot of key players on the bench, and not even to mention the players that he didn't bring along to this World Cup at all. He just left a few of the key players on the bench, and the way he set up and the loss could mainly be attributed to that, the way the manager set this team up, because talent-wise, Spain are definitely one of the best teams in the whole tournament, but Morocco were the best out of them, and not to discredit Morocco in any way. They got the job done. They held out against a team who on paper are superior to them, and then in the penalties, doing what Spain couldn't do, which was to score the penalties that they were handed and to save those which they had to save. So props to Morocco. They are now in the quarterfinals, which is a massive achievement for them. I think coming into the World Cup, there wasn't, at least from a point of view of which teams were going to go far in this World Cup, even the dark horses, I don't think many people had Morocco as one of those teams that could do it, but they have definitely been one. They've definitely been the dark horse of the tournament, and it's really nice to see a different team within the final 8. Again, if everything just came out to plan as everyone expected, then there would be no point to have a World Cup if everything was just going to be everything was just going to go down as expected. And then we have the Portugal against Switzerland game, where Fernando Santos finally woke up. He finally woke up. And I had Portugal as one of the top 5 teams for the whole tournament, but my grabs for Portugal, my biggest if for Portugal, and the reason why I didn't have them, for example, in the top 3, was that I was scared on how Fernando Santos was going to be able to stop this team, and whether he really had it in him to adapt and put Ronaldo on the bench when the time came to do that for the benefit of the team. And you saw in the first game where they set up in a 4-4-2 with a triangle or diamond midfield, just to accommodate Ronaldo and some of his weaker points in this stage of his career. And that, although Portugal got the win against Ghana, it wasn't in a convincing manner by any means. So the fact that he was willing to change the team, the fact that he was willing to give Gonçalo, the fact that he even brought him to the tournament was already surprising. But the fact that he started him in this game in the round of 16, put on the bench the biggest star of the team, arguably the biggest star of the whole tournament, and saw up his team to win in the manner that he did, you have to give the manager his flowers. You have to. And games like this is where I begin to change my mind on individuals, and I'm really impressed with Portugal, and hopefully they can beat Morocco to get to the semi-final, which would be a massive improvement on how they've done in the last few international competitions. In the last World Cup, in the 2018 World Cup, they got knocked out in the round of 16, and the same thing happened in the last Euros where they also got knocked out in the round of 16. And you think of a team like Portugal, who have the most talent that they have, a team that should always be within the quarter-final and semi-final stages. It's very good to see them right where they are at the moment. But now we're going to go into the quarter-final previews, the 4 matches that we have, and who I think is going to win in each of those. And we're going to start with the Netherlands against Argentina. And although I have given the Netherlands a lot of praise, I am going to stick with my pick for Argentina. However, at the beginning of the tournament, I think that the split between this game, it was 80% to Argentina and 20% to the Netherlands. However, that has changed. Argentina have not impressed me at all offensively. Their offense pretty much just runs through Messi for the whole time, and the way the Netherlands are going to set up and how they've been one of the best defenses in the whole tournament, I think Argentina are really going to struggle with that. And the fact that the Netherlands have also gotten the job done offensively, guys like Gakpo and Depay coming through for the team, and their midfield, with the way Van Gaal has set them up, has also been very fluid. So I no longer think that it is an 80-20 split for the favour of Argentina. Now it's more of a 45-55, and that extra 5% that gives to Argentina is because they have Lionel Messi, and that's one of the players, that's one of the athletes when you're talking about any team sport of all time that you don't bet against. So I'm still giving the Argentina the benefit of the doubt, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Netherlands were to win this game. Again, it used to be an 80-20 split, but at the moment it's more of a 45-55 split, where I think this game is going to be very close, and I don't think Argentina are going to dominate. In matter of fact, if I think a team is going to dominate in this game, it might just be the Netherlands. It could really go wrong for Argentina, but once again, I'm not going to go back on my word. I think that Argentina is still a good side. Messi does need more help, but in the last few games, Julian Alvarez has been that second guy for them, and hopefully they can come through in this game and get the job done. So yeah, Netherlands against Argentina. I have Argentina to win. And then Croatia against Brazil. And the last two games for both teams, Croatia against Japan and Brazil against Korea, really settled down my doubts on where I think, or at least on the outcome of the game. And I'm going to give this to Brazil. And I'm also going to give my split. So I think it is a 70-30 split in favor of Brazil. I still think that Croatia, or at least the best way for them to win the game, is to dominate the Brazilian midfield. I think Croatia have a superior midfield to that of Brazil. I think Croatia have one of the best midfields in the whole tournament with Brozovic, Kovacic, and Modric. As I said before, very, very strong midfield. 3 players that work extremely well together. And with Brazil, although they have Casemiro, Paqueta, and Neymar, the defensive capabilities of both Neymar and Paqueta aren't really there. Although going forward, and that's where I think the separator is at, Brazil look excellent, and that's where I think Croatia have struggled this tournament. The defense has been very shaky, and when going up against Brazil, with them setting up with Vini on the left, Rafinha on the right, Neymar through the middle, and Richarlison up front, with how clinical he's been, I think that's a matchup nightmare. To how poor this Croatia team has been so far defensively in the tournament. And then defensively, Brazil still look as solid as they. I don't think their midfield, defensively at least, is that strong. But the defense in the guys like Thiago Silva, Marquinhos, Alisson, and Casemiro is extremely solid and one of the best defensive units in the whole tournament. And Croatia, with an attack that has struggled for the whole tournament, I think they will struggle to score against Brazil, and I think they will struggle to stop Brazil from scoring goals, and that's why I have Croatia winning the whole. Brazil winning the game with a 70-30 split in favor to Brazil. Then you have the England against France game, and this is a game. This is another game where I'm going to give a 45-55 split, perhaps even closer to that. I think this game is going to be very, very close. I think this is the game to watch in the whole tournament, but I'm going to give it to France. And the reason why I'll give it to France is because this England defense, unless they set up with a back 3, which I think would be their way to contain France's attack, but again, I think England should set up with a back 3 because that is going to slow them down offensively. Even if they were going to do that, France are stacked up front, and very similarly to Brazil, we have Mbappe on the left, then Dembele on the right, Griezmann through the middle, who's been extremely underrated. He's been under the radar for this team, and he's been one of the best performers for France so far this tournament. And then Giroud up front, who many people have as finishing as the top scorer for the whole tournament. So having all of these things in mind, and how poor this England defense has looked at times, I do favour France winning the game. Again, I'm talking about France. I've been talking about France for quite a time, but I don't think it's going to be a lopsided game by any means. I think England definitely have a chance, and the way that England could dominate the game is through the middle. Rabiot and Tchouaméni. Yeah, the way I see England winning this game is through the middle, and them taking their chances and overloading this France midfield, and then making sure England is as clinical as possible going forward, because there won't be that many chances. This France defense is, in my opinion, the best defense in the tournament. Yes, you can say the Netherlands have a better record, but they've played worse teams, and they've set up with 5 at the back, 3-5 at the back, however you want to look at it. Whereas France, playing with the back foot that they're playing the offensive football that they are playing, they've still been very solid at the back. So I do have France as favourites to win this game, but unlike the Brazil against Croatia game, for example, I think it's going to be a very, very close game. And then finally, the Morocco against Portugal game. I am done disrespecting Morocco, especially after. I never really disrespected them, but I'm done overlooking Morocco, and I'll give them their flowers. I don't think it is that crazy to say that Morocco could get a result against Portugal. However, I still have Portugal as favourites to win this game, and especially after what I saw against Switzerland. Against Switzerland, sorry. The way Santos set up that team, where Portugal were no longer playing to one individual, they were now playing as a team. Ramos being clinical, Felix playing as the player that I always knew that he was going to be able to play, and then with a player like Rafael Leão coming off the bench, this Portugal team look very, very strong, and me having them as a top 5 favourite to win the World Cup before the tournament starts is finally being validated, and I'm very happy for that. so I'm going to back Portugal. However, it wouldn't be crazy to see Morocco beating Portugal after what we've seen from Morocco for the whole tournament. But that's it, guys. That's the round of 16 roundup and the quarterfinals preview. I'll be making one. I'll be making another video straight after the quarterfinals as we head towards the latter stage of the competition. But that's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Join the JVM community, because there's, as I said in every video, there's a lot more content coming through.